I'm going to catch you dancing.
Cool. Everyone ready? Feedback forms done? Cool. Right, so I'm looking at double planning, which is basically starting right back from the beginning of your planning stage. It doesn't mean planning twice, but can everyone think of what it could possibly mean? Yes?
Like you have to plan for the teacher and students are doing it at the same time?
Yes! Brilliant! So, what it says to do, so you have a T-graph, and you have teacher, and you have student, and that you would say, do your intro, and you're talking, doing whatever, and then you have to write out what you want your students to be doing, what you want them to be learning, how you want them to be learning, what you want them taking in, etc., etc. When you do this, can anyone think of some examples of what you would write in that space?
Classroom.
Yeah.
Students should be listening and taking notes.
Listening and taking notes. Notes. What do students taking notes look like? Anyone know? Yeah.
What they should look like or what they do look like?
What do they look like? What does a student taking notes look like? When you think of a Year 8 student, 1 year past when we've taught them everything that a high school student should know and do and does, what do they actually look like? When they're sitting there and you're up here talking to them, Renaissance Italy and, maths and science and everything else, and they're sitting there diligently taking notes for you. Wonderful. What does that actually look like?
They're concentrating and they're looking at you and then writing it down and taking in what you're saying, and then putting in what you're saying onto paper.
Yeah. Do they take down every word that you say?
Pretty much.
Paraphrase?
They're paraphrasing, so one of the things they could be doing is paraphrasing. It's interesting that not many teachers actually know what note-taking looks like. They expect their students to do it, but they actually have no idea what it is. We've learnt it at some point when we do it in our lectures. We sort of take dot points and we sort of write an interesting quote or some sort of important bit of information. But we actually don't teach our students to do it. But when we write down our double plan, we say they're listening and they're taking notes. But we didn't teach them to take notes. And we didn't tell them to take notes. But then we get so frustrated, we're like, they're not taking notes in my classroom. How rude of them. So what I'd like you guys to do now is to work with a partner and to list every kind of note-taking and information-gathering sort of thing that you can think of that students could be doing, which could be dot points or graphs or mind mapping, doodles, scribbles, any of that sort of stuff, and come up with a list. Okay? Ready? Go team!
Ooh, everybody doing the activity.
Yeah.
On the back of my thingy, and then I can read them later, and then you guys can Are you listening out? So any cool one like that? Yeah. And you can think outside the words. So what would students maybe that don't think like writing or visual cues or aesthetics, what would they say? I would say. Exactly. How would you bring them into the note taking? How would you get them?
5 minutes.
How's everyone going with their lists? Has everyone thought of some ideas? Some cool things? Alright, so let's put them up on the board. So has anyone got some ideas? Ideas? Yes?
Making a table.
Table. Yes? Yep.
Idea mapping.
Thank you, Mr. Time. Anyone else? Yeah.
Drawing a picture.
Drawing a picture. I love that. I love that. So it's important to think that just because your students are not writing down what you say, they might be a different kind of learner. They might be a visual learner or a kinesthetic learner. They might be taking it down in a different way to what you may take it down. Doesn't mean they're not listening. It doesn't mean that they're not actually taking notes. It just might be different to other students. Yeah.
Like you're saying with the kinesthetic, building and replicating something and improving their hands.
I don't know if that's right, but anyway. Yeah.
In psychology, when we're learning the brain, we're encouraged to write a picture, to draw a picture next to our explanation, so that if we got confused with what we're writing about, we can refer to a picture and be like, this is what the brain looks like, this is what it does.
Yeah, see, that's exactly right. So is there any sort of way you want to put that? A diagram maybe?
Yeah, diagram with, I know, with a note.
Another word for that would be
Annotated diagram?
Ah.
Yeah!
we're just working as a team. Anything else? Any other ones? Come on, there's lots.
Flowchart?
Flowchart. Love it. Love flowcharts. Any others? Come on. I saw people with this.
Highlighting?
Highlighting, yeah.
Taking a video?
Yep.
I'll save this for my note collection.
Voice recording. If you've got phones, they can voice record you if they wanted to. Yep.
I'm a visual learner, I learn from pictures, so if I was to take a picture of that, I can remember it easier.
These are all really, really great ideas, and they're all things that you can write into your plans so that you can actually, you know, put more than just listening and taking notes when you're actually planning. Yeah. 1 minute. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Hyman. More than just writing a whole heap of information for what you're doing, what you're teaching, actually putting more focus into what your students are learning, how they're listening, and how they're taking in the information, which is a lot more important than what you're doing actually. So yeah, that's the whole planning.
Yay!